Hello everybody, my name is Alex Schiller and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about why I decided to go with the Sony A7 III as my main shooter for both photography and video in my professional career. Let's get started. And here the beauty is. She's so delightful. Look at her. Anyway, so this is the Sony A7 III. It's a beautiful body. We're mirrored right now. I will re-mirror this in post so it doesn't look too terrible. So many reasons why I bought this camera. First off, most important reason, I was working with an APS-C sensor before the Canon SL3, and now I have a full frame sensor. I don't know if you can see that in there. It's beautiful. She's beautiful. It's a full frame sensor. It's a full frame sensor. And so the full frame sensor, getting the full focal range out of any lens that I buy without having to think what the crop factor is super, super important. Better low light capabilities, better bokeh in photos. All these things I wanted to have access to with this full frame camera. And so boom, right off the bat, that's great. Second thing is 4K video recording and having access to 24 frames a second. The only way that I could have had 24 frames a second with the Canon SL3 was at 4K, but then I lose autofocus as well as have another crop on top of the APS-C Type-C, or excuse me, APS-C sensor crop factor. So it was rendered pretty much unusable. And so now I have a full frame camera that shoots 4K 24 frames per second at the full width of the sensor. 30 frames per second is like cropped in like 1.2 times, I think, but that's not too big of a deal. I can easily compensate for that if I need to shoot 30 frames a second. Or I just go down to 1080p 30 and shoot that at 60 megabytes per second, which also 4K at 100 megabytes per second. Huge file sizes, but awesome post bandwidth. That brings us into color as well. I got this because it can shoot 422 externally. Yes, it is 8-bit, but the noticeability on digital platforms like YouTube and Vimeo and stuff like that from 8-bit to 10-bit is a little bit hard, especially when you're delivering it to cases where most people are still working with 1080p, maybe even 4K monitors. And so having 8-bit color depth is super nice at 422, so it's more in depth than your normal average 8-bit out of a camera. So super nice there, as well as dual card slot recording, as well as photo redundancy. So having redundancy as a professional is huge. Redundancy is just so key to making sure that you are able to get the files to the person that you're getting paid by to, client is the word for that. And so getting your photos to your client is like your number one priority, right? You can shoot it with whatever camera you want, but if you can't get your photos to your client, you're not going to get paid. And so having redundancy with dual card slots is huge and one of the main factors in me buying this camera in the first place. And the final reason that I bought this camera is because me and my fiance are starting a media company together, Show Digital Media, and we are both buying Sony bodies. So staying within the ecosystem of Sony allows us to share lenses, work with the same system, same color science, same everything, so that we're working on the same team essentially, instead of having to figure out what Canon or Nikon or Sony are all doing together, and just having Sony's, matching everything up in post and getting ready to go. A faster delivery time for the client. Yet again, the client is huge there. Now this behemoth is the Sigma 24-70 f2.8. She is a beautiful, massive lens. Literally weighs more than the camera body itself. This is like 3 and some odd pounds. This is like 1.5 pounds. This thing's a beast. I love this because at a cheap price point, but also super, super good quality, I can have f2.8. I can have the greatest focal range of ever for photography and video. Everybody uses a 24-70. And so having access to that amazing focal range, as well as having that f2.8 at a really, really nice price with really, really nice glass. I mean, look at how big that freaking lens is. Look how big it is next to my face. It's huge. And so having that and having access to that very quickly, having access to a super professional lens that quickly, the Art series is crazy. And so I've worked with this glass before. It's phenomenal. It's great. I love it. Got it for the Sony E-mount. Comes with super great autofocus, super great quality, super great bokeh. It's going to cover everything that I will need in photo and video for the foreseeable future on my Sony cameras. And that's pretty much why I chose the Sony camera and the Sigma lens, just because they're an awesome pair together. They work really, really well together. Instant quality, instant image quality is just so much better than the Canon SL3. The redundancy and professional options, 24 frames per second, in multiple frame rates, as well as 422 color, allows me to be more of a professional and gives me the tools. I mean, look at all these knobs and dials on this thing. I mean, I can be the professionaliest of the professional, having access to all these knobs and dials to make sure that I dial in every single shot, every single photo, every single shot of video. I dial in for my clients. And that is one of the main reasons that I chose Sony, and one of the main reasons that I'm relying on them for my professional future. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like this video, go ahead and leave it a like. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns about why I chose the Sony A7 III or any of the other gear I mentioned in this video, leave it down in the comments or in our Discord community down below, and I will be sure to get back to you. And then if you want to see more of the videos that I've created, whether it's tutorials or little vlogs or stuff like this where I talk about gear because I love gear, click subscribe. I will be making plenty of those types of videos, and then hit that bell icon so you get notified when I upload. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.